across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello and a very good evening to you. It is Petrie here with you until 1 o'clock. And of course, at midnight, it is your chance to talk back. It is a full hour of just you and me. It's going to be your stories, your opinions. And we're just going to chat through the big stories of the day. And the big story that I want to talk to you about at midnight is the new Renters' Rights Bill. It's officially become law. And it's been described as the biggest shake-up in 30 years, giving renters more rights. There are 11 million people in this country currently renting, and with all of the problems that that brings up as a renter, not having that secured tenancy, not being able to make plans, often not being able to have a pet or have children there or to be on benefits. Well, all of those things are about to change, and I want to talk to you at midnight about what it's like renting for you, what it is, what have you been your biggest worries? What are the things that really have upset you? Have you had a Section 21 eviction notice, a no-fault eviction notice? Maybe you've had a Section 8 eviction notice. What is it like if you've got a landlord that doesn't come in and repair things? Have you got a landlord that doesn't fix the mould or fix, I don't know, anything that you've got with your property, and you're too scared to ask them in case they kick you out? Well, that is all about to change, and we'll be discussing that in just a moment. But please do pick up the phone and give me a call. I really want to hear some of your rental nightmares, what has been happening and why these changes were so desperately needed. So give me a call, 0344 499 1000. You can also send me a text if you put the word talk and then your message to 87222, and I look forward to hearing your stories at midnight. Before that, we have Ed Wiseman, the man that is wise. He is going to be here, our transport journalist and travel journalist, coming into the studio to talk us through the papers for Wednesday. Now, though, going straight back to that Renters' Right Bill, as I said, it's officially become law. Many of the details and the timing of the details are not quite out yet, but we do know most of them. It's been described as the biggest shake-up in renting for more than 30 years, and the changes, as I said, will not take effect immediately, as the government is yet to announce starting dates for the various provisions. But these are the provisions that are actually in there. We just don't know. It's a couple of months for some of them, a couple of years for others. But joining us to talk this through is Richard Blanco, National Residential Landlords Association and representative and host of the Listen Up Landlords podcast, and the man with the finest beard in the whole of the world. Richard, how are you both?
Good evening, Petrie. I'm living my best beard, yes.
Yeah, you really are. Well, look at that. I'm always astounded by it. Is this a good day for landlords?
It's a complicated day for landlords, I think, Petrie. The Section 21 has been absolutely demonised. I heard the Secretary of State for Housing today say that 11,000 people were kicked out by their landlords for no reason, no fault of their own in the last year. Well, Section 21 has been used because the courts have been incredibly slow, and because often it's the easiest way to deal with issues like antisocial behaviour, or if you want to sell the property and so on. That's the main thing that's going, really, I guess, here. What we're going to have are lifelong tenancies, in effect, really, for tenants, and the landlord will have to use what's called a Section 8 notice to take possession of the property, and that may result in them having to go to court. tenants will be able to benefit from no more fixed terms, just the tenancy goes on for as long as they want it to. They give 2 months notice. They can even give that on day one of the tenancy if they want. I think student landlords will be absolutely tearing their hair out because there are a lot of provisions in the Act which are a real problem for them, including the fact that 1 and 2 bedroom properties cannot be counted effectively as student properties. So that means we lose a third of student accommodation, and also not being able to take any rent in advance. There are lots of issues, or maximum of 1 month in advance. There are lots of issues that are going to be very difficult for the student sector.
I mean, I'm just thinking back to when my son was a student, and after halls, he rented a 2 bedroom house. I think there were 4 of them living there, but because they shared rooms. But that wouldn't be counted as student accommodation now.
No, it would if it's 4 people, actually. What they've said is that the ability to end a tenancy between June and September, so in line with the academic year, will only be afforded to properties that are HMOs. So for a property to be an HMO, that's a house in multiple occupation, it has to be 3 people or more. I mean, obviously, you do sometimes get two couples in a 2-bed house. That would be an HMO in that situation. But you sometimes get, 2 friends that just want to live in a quieter situation. Maybe a couple with a young child who happen to be students. There are all kinds of situations, and it's something like 29%, I think, the biggest portal for student accommodation. They say 29% of their accommodation is 1 or 2 bedroom flats.
Wow.
And that they won't be able to sit in that cycle anymore, because potentially a tenant could move in there and stay for 10 years. And so it won't be relettable every September as student accommodation needs to be.
So they would, and they wouldn't be able to have the property vacant, let's say, in the summer holidays for Airbnb or for themselves.
No, not with the 1 and 2 beds or the non-HMO sector, or non-HMO properties in the student sector. So that's one of the examples that, we think the government have just been really silly on. The House of Lords was very keen to try and change the bill when it was a bill, and just wanted the government to be more sensible on this. I mean, why only apply this to HMOs? Why can't students live in 1 and 2 bedroom flats? The other frustration in the Act is the fact that if there's a rent increase, and rent increases will be allowed maximum 1 per year, which is the situation now. But basically, I mean, you can try and do 2 a year, but it's very uncommon. But basically, tenants will have the right to go straight to a tribunal if they're not happy, and the rent increase will be delayed until the tribunal makes its determination. So, of course, most tenants, if they get, a proposed rent increase, are going to go to tribunal, which means the tribunals will be completely clogged up, and it will take, anything up to 1 or 2 years to get to the tribunal. And we just think that's a really silly way to try and run the private rented sector. What they do in Scotland is Rent Service Scotland assesses the tenant's complaint and gives their view within 1 or 2 weeks, and then the tenant can appeal to tribunal. And we've suggested that the government should be doing that with the Valuation Office Agency in England, but they just won't accept that. So they've been very stubborn on some very sensible, pragmatic changes that the landlord community has put forward.
Does this amount to an effective rent cap?
No, I don't think so. Not really. And the government very sensibly has says they're not in favour of rent caps. And most economists will tell you that rent caps are not a good idea because landlords just withdraw from the market. And we've already got that problem now where something like 4 in 10 landlords say they're thinking of selling some or all of their properties in the next 12 months. There is this business of rental bidding wars, which the Act bans.
I was going to ask you about that, because how do you ban that? I mean, I don't know how anyone would even know there was a bidding war. The estate agent would just say, well, the landlord didn't choose you, it chose the other people.
Well, there are questions, of course, about the way agents behave in some of these situations, or indeed when they're selling houses. And many of us often wonder whether offers get put through to us and so on. But of course, agents are supposed to, and those that are members of proper trade bodies will behave properly. The idea is that you choose a price that you want to put the property on the market for, and then neither the landlord nor the agent will be allowed to accept a bid over that fixed price. Now, of course, what that incentivizes agents and landlords to do is to put the property on at as high a price as possible because they know that no one's going to be able to bid over that. And if they're caught accepting bids over that fixed price, then trading, I believe it's the local authority actually, not trading standards. I'm not sure which it is, but they could face a penalty. In fact, there's a whole new raft of penalties that local authorities are going to have to enforce. But of course, we don't believe they have any additional resources to do that. And we already know that most enforcement in England is carried out by something like 20 of the 296 local authorities across the country. So, they have very limited resources, and there's a concern really that a lot of these extra powers that they're being given are not going to be enforceable.
There's also bans on taking rent in advance. I guess that because we're hearing stories of people demanding 6 months rent in advance, which is almost unachievable. It's like trying to get a deposit together for a house, right? In a lot of cases, the 3 months, you're allowed to now be 3 months in arrears as opposed to 2 months in arrears before a Section 8 can be started. These things sound like very positive steps forward, but really only for the renter.
Yeah, I think the problem is that the government have not fully understood how the business works, really, particularly with rent in advance. I've never asked for rent in advance because what I normally do is reference tenants or applicants with credit checks and previous landlord and employer references and so on. And that would normally be adequate. And if there's ever an issue there, I would ask them for 3 months, bank statements and so on. But there are times, I've recently taken on a tenant who's just moved to Britain from Paris. She wanted to rent one of the rooms in her house that I have. She changed her mind and went somewhere else. Then she found it was impossible for her to get anywhere else because she couldn't get a full reference because she was an overseas applicant. And so she came back to me because I'd been very reasonable and asked for bank statements. Now, those are the sorts of situations where in the past landlords have asked for 6 months in advance because they can't get credit checks and so on from overseas applicants, and also from students. Students are coming from China or countries where a landlord can't do much of a check on them. They would often ask for 6 months in advance. So it's the reality is on this that sometimes we're handing over the keys to an asset worth over £500,000 to somebody we've never met before. And this is why landlords get anxious and want to take rent in advance. And actually, now that the tenant has the right to stay for life, landlords are going to be particularly
no more fixed term, and that's retrospective as well. So anybody who's got a tenancy agreement at the moment that comes to an end in 6 months' time or a year's time, it doesn't anymore. It's now a rolling tenancy, and they have the right to stay, providing they fulfil all of that.
Petrie, it's not from today. It's from what we're calling the commencement date,
right.
The tenancy commencement date. And we don't know when that is yet. The Secretary of State today said he thought it would be in the spring. We have asked for 6 months from today to give everyone time because 4.7 million tenancy agreements need to be changed. And there's a lot of admin and transitional work to be done. So really, we need at least...
But that's good for the landlord, though, isn't it, to have these rolling tenancies? That if they're good tenants, you want to keep them anyway. Right?
Yes, I think, for, say, somebody like myself, I house 35 people. Many of my tenants have been with me for 12, 13, 14 years. And in some ways, it's not really going to make any difference. It just means that, if they did start behaving badly or some sort of antisocial behaviour issue, or indeed if they did go into arrears, then my only option would be to go through a Section 8 process. And what we're worried about there is that the courts are very slow at the moment. The government says they're going to digitise the process, but there's a concern that because every case now will need a court hearing, that actually the courts are going to get completely clogged up. And as you say, it's going to be 3 months arrears now before you can get a mandatory possession order. Well, it could take you something like 10 months to go through the courts. That's now. And that could be over a year where the tenant hasn't paid any rent at all, where particularly smaller landlords might not be able to afford to pay the mortgage and, be in a terrible situation.
Yeah.
So I know you're going to be talking about sort of tenant difficulties and horror stories tonight, but remember that there are often landlords. There was a case.
Oh no, I'm inviting all comers. As you know, I would. I want to hear from landlords as well. Richard, it's always such a pleasure to see you both. So thank you very much indeed for joining me, Richard Blanco, there, National Residential Landlords Association representative and host of the Listen Up Landlords podcast. Well, joining me now to discuss the other side of this story is Tom Darling, director at the Renters Reform Coalition. Tom, welcome. Good to talk to you. So we heard there from the landlord's point of view. I think Richard is a particularly good landlord, having known him for a while. But, there are bad landlords out there and this will be a shock to them, right?
Well, thanks very much for having me on this evening, Petrie. I just wanted to maybe I'm really pleased to hear that you'll be speaking to tenants later, because I guess when you're talking about the intricacies of this new law, you can kind of get a bit distant from the actual experience of renters. I represent an organisation that represents 20 different organisations that represent renters. So we hear from renters every day. And the private rented sector in England has some of the lowest standards of any rented sector in any advanced economy in the world. And I think when you hear some of the stories of what renters in England have been through, the insecurity, the no-fault evictions being held over their head by bad landlords, as you say, but I think that probably minimises the issue, and some of the bad standards around damp and mould, etc. And that's before you even talk about how expensive it is. And I think what this legislation is doing is it's essentially saying we've had a system in this country where the landlord has had so much power in relation to their tenant, much more power than they have in many other jurisdictions around the world, and that's been quite bad for tenants. And we're now saying that being a landlord isn't a business like selling toys or running a cafe. It's an industry which needs to be extremely well regulated. Taking someone's home away is one of the most severe things and making them homeless is one of the most severe things you can do. Your home is the foundation of your life, and if you have damp and mold issue that is affecting you, it can have a huge impact on your well-being. So what this legislation is doing is saying there are basic standards that you need to meet as a landlord, and if you can't meet those standards, you should not be a provider of housing.
Yeah, I mean, my son is a renter. He's probably about the same age as you, but my son is a renter, so I'm fully aware of the rental world as it stands today, not like when I was renting way back when, and it has changed, and I have been horrified actually by some of the things that he's had to put up with from overly intrusive landlords, people wanting to turn up in his, finding the landlord in his flat when he's come home. Things like that. So I do understand, and also like you said, it's the insecurity that is actually, I think, the worst thing, because your home is your safe place, isn't it? And if you feel insecure, so which parts of this do you applaud the most? Is it that now that there's no more fixed term tenancies, that you can stay as long as you want to, as long as you're obeying the rules and being a good tenant, that all of those things are now coming back into your control?
I think that's the key thing. I mean, Section 21, your previous guest, the way he put it was, oh, it's just something that's used in extremis by landlords. Actually, I think we find that it's not just those Section 21 evictions that end up in court. This power that landlords have informs the entire relationship. They can use it to threaten their tenants in extremis, but to sometimes implicitly threaten tenants that if they challenge bad practice, ask for basic repairs, question a rent increase, that it informs the whole dynamic. You as the tenant, I know this as a renter, you feel a bit like I'm here by the grace of God kind of thing. And so you're very careful in what you do. And I think tenants having more power, I think our hope is that tenants having more power will lead to improvements in the whole renting experience across the board.
It like you said, it makes it a business deal. It's a two-sided deal, and so far it has always been, like you said, they're doing you a favour, in a sense. Just very quickly, the pets. I think that for me, I've got 2 dogs. I love my dogs, and I've got a cat as well. But you know, that has always troubled me as well, that people have to give up their pets if some landlords don't want them there. So this is quite a significant change, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the change is that landlords won't be able to unreasonably refuse a pet request. We'll wait for some guidance from the government on what unreasonable
I guess a horse in a high-rise.
And a lot will turn on that. A lot will turn on that. And obviously, you know, you do hear stories of, you know, people with severe allergies and that sort of thing. But I think for the most part, we've said from the start that having a pet should kind of just be like putting up a picture when you move into a home. And, you know, if there's damage, it will, in the vast majority of cases, be something minor, which is covered by your tenancy deposit. So I think we're really pleased about that change. I mean, if there's time, I thought I might pick up. I've made some notes here on what a couple of the things your previous guest was saying around the tribunal and the tribunal system. I mean, this bill, I think sometimes the landlord organizations, they're like, well, every renter will now challenge their rent. And I think what's missing is the experience of being a tenant. If you're a tenant, the last thing on your mind, I think a lot of the time is going to be, I want to go to tribunal to challenge my rent. Just even the word tribunal sort of has sort of like connotations of some Kafkaesque process. And I think for the most part, tenants will be wanting to stay well away from tribunals.
It's not a quiet life, yeah.
It's right that power is there in extremis, because otherwise, if your landlord could increase the rent to whatever they wanted, you essentially have another Section 21. So if my landlord said to me, I'm doubling your rent tomorrow, that to me, that would have the effect of being an eviction notice. Yeah. And so there needs to be some way of having a system which mediates rent increases. This isn't rent control. I mean, I'm in favor of capping rent increases and having a cap at the lowest of inflation or wage growth, but the government have said they're not in favor of that. And you see people claiming that this bill is bringing in rent controls by the back door. And it's complete nonsense, to be honest with you.
Isn't it fascinating to talk to you, Tom? We'll call on you again, I think, if we need to talk to somebody with your point of view. Thank you very much indeed. Tom Darling, the Director at the Renters Reform Coalition. Quick break, and I'll be back in just a moment with Ed Wiseman.
across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
This is Talk, and you're with Petrie. And every Monday to Wednesday, midnight until 1, it is Talk Back. It is your hour. It is your chance to have your say, to give me your stories, your opinions, and for us to have a really decent debate. So make sure that you tune in every single Monday to Wednesday, midnight until 1, for your chance to talk back. And talking back this morning will involve the Renters' Rights Bill. Okay. And Ed Wiseman is with me now. Hello.
Hello. How are you doing?
Good to see you. But I'm excellent, thank you. The Renters' Rights Bill, I don't know if you've had a chance to sort of look through it, but you were listening to those last two interviews. On the whole, it does sound like a positive step forward, doesn't it?
Lots of things sound like a positive step, but is it actually going to go well? That's the question. Is it going to be as good as it sounds? On paper, it sounds terrific. As your correspondent was talking about earlier, renting has been a bit of a minefield in this country for a long time, and we do have some quite draconian rules that allow landlords to be quite awful.
11 million people rent currently. Sorry, I'm just going to put my poppy back on. 11 million people rent currently, and it does feel like the rights of the landlord have been there's been an imbalance in power. And a lot of landlords listening, and I want to hear from landlords as well. A lot of landlords will say, well, of course there's an imbalance of power, it's my property. But it's a business arrangement where the client is treated not very well, it would seem, by quite a lot of landlords. You know, there is no other business arrangement where if the good that you've bought is faulty, that you couldn't complain about that.
Precisely.
Without being threatened with having that good taken off you.
To me, this feels much more along the lines of trading standards and the kind of protections that we have as consumers against buying machines that catch fire or eating food that has gone off.
Because once you're in a flat and you've put your deposit down, you've moved all your stuff, and then there's mould, and you're told, oh well, I'll get to it.
Or the boiler breaks.
And you don't want to move, and you don't want to cause trouble. So the power dynamic has been grossly wrong.
Way off in favour of property ownership, in general. And as we go into maybe a future where fewer people as a proportion own their own properties and more people are renting, we are increasingly reliant on that, as you say, business relationship being fair, whereas rather than slightly Victorian, there's something slightly feudal about the way that we perceive renting in this country.
Yeah, there really is, and it's interesting because it doesn't happen in European countries.
They have different approaches.
Because literally everybody rents. It is a rental society.
We were based in Germany for a long time.
I was in Germany. It's a rental society.
Absolutely.
In fact, when some really good friends of mine, Andy and Rainer, decided to buy, it was quite shocking. Because they weren't young, but they're probably in their 40s. But people going, you're going to buy? That's really surprising.
Was it quite fancy? Quite sort of? Was it quite a flamboyant move? Was it quite a sort of?
They had been renting the property that they bought, and it was the most stunning, just slightly to the east in Berlin, where none of the properties had been messed up. By being in the west of Berlin. So it was a beautiful, really stunning apartment. But it was a big deal for them to buy because it wasn't usual. I think they were the only ones in the building that owned. Everybody else was a renter. It was just an extraordinary set of circumstances where the owner of the flat was moving or died or something like that, and it was suddenly available. They thought to buy to rent, but they bought it to live in it. And it's a very different attitude. But here, It is. You're like a second-class citizen, I
Very
think,
much
if you're
so.
a renter.
Yeah.
Oh, you rent.
Yeah.
Oh, you do. Which is more expensive than mortgages on most
absolutely.
of the times.
That's the elephant in the room here as well. That people are spending £1,200 renting sometimes a room, but often a very small flat, and then deemed ineligible for a mortgage.
Talk about rental. I think my boy's on just over £2,000 for a one-bedroom.
Ooh.
Fortunately, he's got a lovely girlfriend.
Yeah.
In not the smartest area of London either. I mean, really not. You know,
is it bad?
It's one of those areas where they're thinking of taking the Lime bikes away.
Oh yeah, just because they can't be trusted.
They can't be trusted.
Yeah, fair enough.
So it's not a good area, and it's a nice flat.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but yeah, I mean £2,000, and it's just like, hang on a minute, they could probably get a mortgage for about the same, if not less.
Certainly, less. And as you say, it's a client relationship. When you are spending £2,000 a month on anything,
that's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money for,
and you should be respected.
Precisely. And if your contractor was messing you around, you wouldn't have any of it. But we are in a position, or we have been in a position until very recently, where contractors not doing their fair share and dropping the ball, sometimes deliberately, have been very much protected by the courts. And I think maybe that balance is going to be tweaked a little bit.
But there will be landlords who are looking at this and going, oh gosh, that's Section 21, the no-fault eviction is the only way, because the Section 8 takes too long.
Takes too long. There are different criteria. You have to meet certain objective criteria or persuade a court on the more subjective ones. Lots of hoops to jump through, and yes, there will obviously be renters who take the mickey, but then there have been landlords who take the mickey for a long time. Not that that helps any individual landlord trying desperately to get their house back from somebody who has paid not enough rent for multiple months.
Yeah, again, that happened to a friend of mine recently. I was really worried she was going to be stuck with a tenant that wasn't paying.
You end up with squatters. Yeah. And people who know how to get in the system.
And they know their rights.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they know they've got the rights.
And now they have more rights. But is that a fair price to pay for generally across the board people being more secure in their homes?
This feels to me, I mean, I'm particularly thrilled for people that can now reasonably have a pet.
Yes.
I mean, again, when they say there's got to be a good reason, I suspect it would be something like having a Great Dane in a high-rise flat.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Don't take your donkey into a sixth floor. But
don't take your pony.
Yeah, precisely. Into a maisonette.
So, but that's a good thing, because I do, a lot of people have to give up their pets if they move. That's disgusting.
And as you say, it's a second-class citizen. You should people who rent not be afforded these simple luxuries, these simple happinesses, like having a cat.
Like having a cat.
Without having to sort of plead with your landlord. The whole thing is very, it's not even Victorian, it's sort of 1600s, where you think that the sort of, the lord of the manor will determine how your life goes.
Yeah, and begging for them to come and fix something.
And also a dog, I don't know, maybe dogs do chew the skirting boards, but really that's the...
Mine don't.
It's, no, exactly, most don't. No. The presumption is that pets will be allowed now. It'll be a sort of... It's an assumed right.
Yeah, but I mean, the landlord can still reasonably say no to a donkey on the 15th floor.
Yeah, absolutely.
But also they may insist that you get extra insurance in case of
they're
damage.
allowed to do that.
They may be able
I thought they weren't allowed to do that. Okay, fair enough.
That they can ask for insurance, but it should really be covered in the deposits, which are huge anyway. I
mean, it depends on the animal. Obviously, if it's a shark, it's a bit different. Maybe you've got public liability to worry about. But if it's a cockapoo, then what exactly is going to happen?
Yeah, exactly.
And maybe he'll leave the oven on. I don't know. But I think there is a lot of that. Renters are very locked down and restricted. Yeah. And I think this is alleviating some of that.
And I do also like the periodic rolling contracts now as well.
No
because
more
security, no more short-term tenancies.
Which is interesting. I think that's both a blessing and a curse. I'm sure there are lots of people and landlords who would benefit from 6 months, 12 months.
Well, I guess if you're the tenant and you're asking for a 6 months, then I expect that is allowable.
Just say, I'm going
to leave after 6 months.
I'm going to hand in my 2 months' notice in 4 months.
Yeah. You can do that, but it just means that if you are happy where you are, then you can stay there.
Yeah, with reasonable rent increases that are very much up for debate. I think it's across the board sounds like a good idea, but
then I don't own a property that I'm renting out. So.
No, and I don't know how prevalent it is to get tenants who are just awful. I don't know how likely it is. What are the chances if you rent out your ordinary flat or house that you end up with someone
getting stuck
who knows how to play the game and basically squats or does the bare minimum to not get evicted based on these new regulations?
And these people, a lot of them do also know how far they can push it.
Oh, absolutely, they know precisely. Yeah, but that's true of everything.
You know, they might drop in a payment 6 months in, and then they've got another 6 months.
That kind of thing, exactly.
Yeah,
but 99.9% of tenants just want to go home,
just want a quiet life,
make some pesto pasta and go to bed,
and
aren't that interested in gaming the system beyond just, I don't know, maybe not paying the upkeep that they should. I think that's one of the main things.
Yeah.
Maybe not cleaning the bathroom as well as they should.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is with landlords popping in.
There's a lot of popping in. But the thing is, everybody has a horror story. I've got several horror stories of estate agents who, like, some of them lovely, the other half fundamentally parasitic. But landlords, I've met some lovely landlords. I've had some great landlords. I've went out drinking with one of them several times. It was terrific. But then a lot of them are just so out to get you.
Yeah.
And so just see you as a cash cow. Yeah, it's just like, how much money can I extract from these people?
My son's last landlord was weird.
Yeah.
And overly involved.
Yeah.
Just like, go away.
Exactly. You're not. Why are you trying to get involved? In
you're not. Excuse me, I'm the parent.
Yeah.
You're not.
Or just like we're 5 ordinary people having a very ordinary life. Why are you inserting yourself into it like some sort of very
Weirdo.
odd.
Yeah, very strange. Well, listen, I want to hear your stories, your nightmares, or even some delightful stories as well. Whether you be a landlord or a renter, please do pick up the phone. Tell me what you think about these changes and are they going to affect you? 0344 499 1000. Ed and I will be right back with the papers.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
I haven't seen a good moustache for ages.
Well, there you go. Ed Wiseman and I were just discussing Richard Blanco's beard, and I was telling him that is something for him to aspire to.
Absolutely.
That is a serious beard.
Yeah. And we need more serious beards in the world.
We do. I mean, honestly, I always say about Richard, that beard has got its own postcode.
Print out a photograph. Stick it to my fridge.
Yeah, stick it to your fridge.
As I chug another pint of whole milk, desperate to achieve that level of beard
that
growth.
level of fabulous beard. Right, let's have a look at the papers. Crucial Sun campaign, Ed.
Yep.
Save our bets. Now, this is because there is some suspicion that Rachel Reeves, as she scrabbles around at the back of the sofa, is going to start a tax grab on betting or on betting shops, isn't it?
Yes. I think as part of the Labour government's campaign to alienate themselves from every demographic.
Yeah, they've done old people now.
This is a new one, just punters.
Yeah.
Punters, I think, is interesting. I think that gambling in general is under threat anyway, from lots of different angles. I think there are more scandals to be aired about problem gambling. I think horse racing in particular, there are cruelty arguments, greyhound racing, cruelty arguments. There are lots of problems that could befall them during this administration, but they're also a very powerful lobby group. So I don't think Rachel Reeves has calculated this fight correctly.
I mean, it's huge. It's worth a lot of money.
Worth a lot of money.
The gambling world.
And I think that they will put up more of a fight than anybody else that she goes after.
Yeah, she's going after a scrappy group.
Yeah,
I would
exactly.
say.
And they play dirty.
Yeah,
and they lobby dirty.
Yeah. So she wants to. But there's a suggestion that they could whack up taxes on betting by as much as 138%. So I always think it's interesting that if you win the lotto in America, you have to pay tax.
Huge amounts
of tax on your winnings.
Yeah.
But our winnings are tax free.
Yes.
Because don't we pay tax when we buy the ticket? Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've already paid tax on the £2.
You make more money taxing the losers than the winners.
Yeah. But that's absolutely probably right. Actually,
somebody's calculated that.
Yeah. But if they flipped that, then would they then make?
I mean, are they going to tax the payouts on? I mean, I don't know.
Who knows?
I don't really know.
I mean, they're going to tax everything, aren't they? I mean, I was saying yesterday that we're about at the point now where the Exchequer gets more of our money than we keep.
Yeah.
Not just in basic tax, but in VAT and all of the taxes.
Fuel duty.
Fuel duty.
Which is another
that has been frozen. You're a transport guy. You know this.
Well, they're screwed because electric cars don't take any petrol. So where's the money going to come from? There isn't really a plan. It's a non-zero chunk of the Exchequer that comes out of petrol pumps. People just pay that all day, every day, constantly. It's people are refilling the whole time, and every time they're dropping 50 quid and paying tax on it. And when that dries up, what are they going to do? Because it's a big old chunk.
But fuel duty could go up this time. It hasn't gone up for a long time.
Fuel duty could go up this time, but I mean, I feel as though, and I've obviously never been Chancellor of the Exchequer, I think that should be obvious, but surely you have to leave, when you're pushing the sliders up, you have to leave some of them down. You have to give somebody something. I
don't think we've got any room. I mean, the black hole has got bigger by 20 billion since yesterday.
Yeah.
So we're looking at 50 billion.
That's not a great looking chart, is it? Yeah.
That's not a good chart.
But the billions that they save not paying pensioners for their winter fuel and things like that is quite small potatoes.
Tiny.
Compared to fuel tax, for example. I don't know how much they're going to make from betting. It feels a bit like desperation.
Yeah.
And it also feels like one of those things that's going to run and run. You know, the gambling industry will pay for MPs to go and have a box at Ascot and things like that. There's so much influence. There's so much influence in there. So I think it's going to be quite an ugly sort of battle.
Yeah. I think that there's a lot that's going to be ugly because she's just picking all these the hundreds of small things rather than just one big thing.
Sort of tax the rich kind of thing. Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah. Let's turn to the Times.
Yeah.
And a picture on the front there, I just want to nod to the fabulous, rather wonderful Prunella Scales, who's died at the age of 93. And, of course, she lost her husband almost exactly a year ago.
Yes.
Tim West.
Yes, that was sad.
They were such an enduring couple, weren't they?
Ancient.
Yeah.
But very funny up until the end, even though they were sort of... They both had... Did they have Alzheimer's?
I think she had Alzheimer's. I'm not 100% on him, but you're probably right. But up until a few years ago, they were doing that canal barge programme.
Did they not already have? Were they not already?
They were already into that.
The edges of dementia at that point.
I think they were. Yeah.
That was very gentle television. That was very good.
That was very nice.
That was nice.
It was lovely.
But nothing really happened. But
nothing ever does on a barge anyway.
No, true. Nothing happens at 3 miles an hour.
Labour, I'm shocked, said nobody ever.
Yeah.
Labour to miss 1.5 million home target. I mean,
Yeah.
I think I said that on the day it was announced. There's no way they're going to do that.
No way at all. Nothing is set up to achieve that.
No.
Nothing
There's
at
not
all.
enough. We haven't got enough builders. We haven't got enough infrastructure. We haven't got enough anything.
I haven't got enough bricks. It's so elementary. There's just nothing. We've got none of the momentum required.
No.
And even if we did, we wouldn't have any of the infrastructure to support 1.5 million homes.
No, exactly that.
It's all a bit pie in the sky. But I'm sure that of the 1.5 million homes planned, they will build 100, 200,000 very expensive homes between the lackluster regulations and the profit-hungry house builders. They'll get some stuff done.
Yeah. I mean, it's not even their target anyway. We're going to build 1.5 million. No, the government have got nothing to do with it.
No,
They're
exactly.
Get builders to build it.
Exactly.
Who are land banking like crazy because the housing market's not strong.
Yeah, I think. Well, that's the other thing. The housing market is quite weird at the moment. I don't know if you know anybody who's buying, selling.
Up north, it's stronger than it is down south.
Yes, anywhere outside London, it seems to be.
Yeah.
Because there was a time where you could go on Rightmove, as I often did, and sort of put in the value of my property and then look at the castles elsewhere.
Yeah.
But it's less pronounced than it used to be. The castles that I could get for the cost of my flat are tiny, really small, barely even an orchard.
You need to be Prince Andrew.
Up in that, that's what did the Sun run? Costmore Cottage or something this morning.
Yeah.
That was I think that's going to be a. That's going to be another story that runs.
That's never going to stop. That's a gift that keeps on giving.
You know what? Despite the particularly dark aspects of that story, it's nice that the royal family is doing scandals again, because it's been a bit of a while.
Yeah.
It's been a while since there's been a royal.
Well, because Fergie went away, didn't she? And she was the biggest supplier of scandal for quite a few years.
But going back to sort of the 90s, going back in the early 2000s, of William and his Nazi outfit, those kinds of things. Harry, sorry, yes. And those kinds of things, they just, I don't know, give the paparazzi something to do. And now they're all hiding in bushes in Windsor again. I don't know, it just feels like natural order has been restored. Yeah,
the good old days.
I think I'm okay with it, personally.
The Guardian showing a wonderful picture of Prunella Scales as she appeared as Mrs. Faulty.
Yes.
I mean, that was Faulty Towers. What a...
Yeah.
I said to Yana, the young Vision Mix, I said, do you ever watch Faulty Towers? She's like, no.
How old's Yana?
12.
Okay, fine.
23.
Doesn't know who Sybil is. No, I think it was before my time.
She looks about 12.
I only found out by accident.
Yeah. Really?
When was it on?
Oh, I mean, but it's been repeated.
It has been repeated, but some stuff doesn't age.
And it's genius.
Yeah, I think it's very good.
It's so funny. This does age. I think it does. Anyway.
What's he doing now? He's still kicking about, isn't he?
He's become quite political.
Yes. Is he on GB News?
He was.
Yeah.
He did a couple of special programmes. I don't think he's on there, John Cleese. He's not on there permanently. But we were saying the genius of her was allowing John Cleese as Basil Fawlty to really...
Yeah. Have
be
some
as
space.
Bonkers. Yeah, have space. She was genius, absolutely genius. So it's a fabulous picture of her on the Guardian. Another story about Rachel from Accounts. And this storm of the century, Melissa hitting Jamaica. I mean, some of those images are awful.
I didn't realise how bad. There's always a hurricane.
There's hurricane season, isn't it? Starting in Florida and places like that as well.
But these ones are particularly awful. No, I don't think it's the damage hasn't really been assessed yet, has it? I think it's still ongoing.
It's still ongoing. Yeah. It's a massive storm, though. It really is.
Yes.
The Daily Mail.
Yeah.
If Charles doesn't act against Andrew, Steely William will. I get the impression that William does not like his uncle very much. Not
at all.
Yeah.
But then I don't know what's going on in the firm. Who likes who? It feels as though there's factions.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, Andrew just looks like a really arrogant idiot.
I think that interview was sort of a seminal piece of television in our time.
Yeah, the Newsnight. The Newsnight
interview. That was really interesting. Yeah. But I wonder who is. Obviously, he was the Queen's favourite.
He was the favourite son.
Yeah, which was sort of odd.
It's odd to declare that.
Yeah, it is. Publicly.
I mean, I've got one child, and I've always told him, and even he's not my favourite. The dog is.
Yeah.
You know, well, both dogs are.
But to declare that to the country is
odd.
Is
Yeah,
peculiar.
it is odd that we know that.
But he's lost his ally in her absence, and now he has to go and live in one of the less nice parts of the estate.
I mean, have you seen them? Rough.
Frogmore,
Yeah.
There's Frogmore and another one.
Cottage,
something
Adeline
like
Cottage
nice.
or something like that. They're gorgeous.
You could really.
I could rough
down.
it there.
Well, you could just disappear. That's the thing.
Yeah,
Could you not just live a really comfortable life?
Yeah. Just sit there, go out horse riding on the Windsor estate, do a bit of painting, whatever it is you want to do, and shut up.
What do you reckon he/they will do when they need money? What do you think their brand will be? What do you think their business will be?
Asking people for money.
Do you think it will just be panhandling, or do you think that they'll have like a luxury brand, or do you think that they'll?
No, I think they'll panhandle.
Will they open a pub?
They're not used to working.
No, obviously not work per se.
Well,
but will there be a boutique on the King's Row, or just
Yeah.
that kind of thing?
Very good. Go and work at Pizza Express.
Yeah, exactly. That would be it. Somebody must have said
that's courtety of Sam, I have to say that.
Somebody must have said that already, Sam. I'm sure. But
he is quite funny, to be fair.
But yeah, that's that kind of thing. I just wonder what the rest of their lives hold in store.
The Queen probably left him enough money to live on.
Yeah.
I'm not going to worry. I'm not going to set up a GoFundMe. I think he'll be fine.
I'm not worried for their welfare per se. I'm sure they'll be
because they want to live the high life, don't they?
Yeah.
Well, the other story is police investigate attack in suburbia.
Yeah.
This is somebody who is being questioned by detectives. It appears to be an Afghan refugee. But as usual with this kind of story, the papers can talk about it more than we can because of Ofcom. So we're going to leave it. Absolutely there.
As far away.
Yeah, as far away as possible.
Yeah.
We don't want to be done for subdued to see. I don't know. It really annoys me that the papers can do this and we can't say anything, because anything could be.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, let's have a look at the Mirror. Hell at 185 miles per hour. 185
That's
miles
quick.
per hour. This is this hurricane that is pummeling Jamaica. 185 miles an hour. Oh,
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know how many British people are out there. Haven't read any accurate reports.
No, I've not.
Presumably it's a fair few.
It is a fair few.
The
Apparently,
winter
the
sun.
consulate is involved and there are people involved. But the image of that storm with the eye, it's extraordinary.
Yeah, it's quite ferocious looking.
Yeah.
I'm sure. I mean, I don't know. Maybe the British consulate in Jamaica is usually very busy and geared up for this kind of thing, but it must be pretty hellish trying to make sure that families
People are safe.
stays together and sort of when all the electricity is out. And do they have adequate shelters there?
I don't.
What's the
well,
situation?
there's a lot of poverty in Jamaica because there's a lot of, unfortunately, there's a lot of corruption.
Yeah.
So you get out, you get away from the coast and sort of go inland. There's a lot of tin huts and shanty town type living arrangements. They're the people that I'm worried for.
Yeah.
The hotels on the coast are probably concrete built to withstand hurricanes. So as usual, it's a story of two halves, isn't it? That you've got the poor and the vulnerable who are likely to suffer the most from this, and the rich sitting in their concrete hotels would probably be fine.
It's always the people living in caravans in the States that get the worst affected by storms.
Yeah, exactly
and
that.
obviously
And that's
the people who
the
have
poverty.
Yeah.
Yeah, they always do.
It's a real shame.
The Daily Telegraph is saying councils told to end 4-day weeks. I didn't even know they were working 4-day weeks, lazy.
Not very many of them are.
Oh.
And I can tell you as someone who has worked at the Telegraph, they hate the 4-day week and they hate working from home. And they have a real tough time getting freelance writers to write articles about how bad freelancing from home is, because they all freelance from home and really like it.
Oh, really?
That's a little insider tip for you and anybody else who reads the Telegraph and wonders why they're constantly
going on about 4-day weeks.
Going on about it. They just hate it for some reason. But they
hate other people having 4-day weeks.
Yeah, precisely. Whereas and then they go to the features desk and they say, "Can you commission this out to a writer?" And the writers say no, because I absolutely hated working in the newsroom and I'm really happy being
earning
more money from my house, writing for other clients as well. So that's just a little snippet of intel. They've always been very anti 4-day weeks, anti flexi work, anti working from home. I wouldn't like to speculate as to why, but I assume it has to do with property ownership. And councils aren't doing that many 4-day weeks. It's not like your council probably isn't, my council isn't. There were some that were experimenting with it.
Right.
To save some money.
Good. Well, they probably didn't save any money, that's why, because people would want 5-day money on 4-day weeks.
Yeah, I think there was a bit of that. And I mean, I quite like the idea of flexi working. If you are happy to do your 38 hours in 4 days, why not? If you're still getting your work done, the only problem is if you are someone
customer facing
who needs to be on the phone. And so if my council flat floods on a Friday at 2 p.m, I do kind of want somebody to be around.
Yeah, you need somebody to be able to pick up the phone. Right, well, we didn't get through many of the papers,
crumbs,
but yeah, we are. We're done, but a lot of them are repeating the Jamaica storm.
Bad storm.
The bad storm.
Gratuitous photograph of Sydney Sweeney. More storm. Prunella, I think
we covered it.
The only thing that is Prunella Scales has been the consistent feature across all the papers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Back in a sec.
across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello, good morning to you. It is Petrie here with you now for the next hour, and this is your chance to talk back. So what I want to talk to you about this morning is the new Renters' Rights Act. Now, it was passed into law just yesterday, so it has now become law. All the processes have been gone through, and we know the details of the Renters' Rights Act. What we don't know yet is the timing of some of these changes. Some of them will be immediate, some of them will be a couple of months, some of them will be spring, some of them will be a year, but it has been ratified into law now. So some of those changes are that properties will now be rented on a periodic or rolling basis. So gone is the fixed 12 or 24-month contract. You will have the right to stay, say you're in a flat and you really like it, and you're a good tenant, you can stay. You can stay. And they can't use Section 21 evictions, which is a no-fault eviction, have now gone, or they will be gone. So nobody can, if you've been there for 5 years and they say, oh, we need to sell it, they can't do it under a Section 21. They have to do it under a Section 8, and it's the process, and they have to go to the law and all of those things. So it is going to be much more difficult if you want to stay and you're a good tenant, to just kick you out. So you have that security of tenancy. Tenants who want to leave, though, can give 2 months' notice rather than being tied in for a year or longer. And this will be retrospective as well when it comes in, which I think will be about the springtime. If you're already on a tenancy agreement for 24 months, and normally you would have to pay a year's rent to get out of it, or a year and a half's rent to get out of that tenancy agreement, no, it'll be 2 months. So even if you've signed for 2 years, as soon as this kicks in, and it is now law, just depends on the timing, you don't have to stay there for that. If you decide you want to move out, you can without getting penalised for that. So other things that will happen, you will, like I said, you won't be trapped into paying rent for some standard property. You will have the right to complain about a rent increase if you believe it to be unreasonable. It can only happen, rent increases can also only happen once a year, which I think they pretty much do anyway, but that's written into this law. Landlords will now have to pay a fine if they don't improve the property that you're in, things like that. They will also have to accept you having a pet, or they will have to have a reasonable reason to not allow you to have a pet. They can, however, ask for additional insurance on the property if you do have a pet. They will also not be able to turn you down if you're on benefits. So I don't know. I mean, that's a bit like saying, oh, you can't employ somebody over, you can't have age discrimination, right, when you employ somebody. But you can, you just don't declare it. So I think you can just still, people will still discriminate against people on benefits, because you'll just do a background check on them or whatever and just say, no, I don't want those tenants, I want those tenants. So I think some of this is all a bit silly, because I don't know how you're going to enforce it. The other thing that will no longer be allowed is a bidding war for properties, which happens in London. You get, quite a lot of people go for the same flat, and they've got it listed at £2,000 a month, and somebody offers £3,000 a month, so the landlord goes with them. You won't be able to do that anymore. They'll have to set the price, and they will not be allowed to accept more than that, which my guest earlier said will only result in them asking for the highest possible rent in the first place. It could bump rents up. So there's quite a lot of changes in this, and there are 11 million renters in this country. So this will affect a lot of you, right? A huge number of you. And I want to hear from you what you think this will do for you. Do you think it'll really make that much of a difference? Like I said, a lot of this is, I think, is really pie in the sky. I think it's unenforceable. I don't believe that you can do it. I'm not sure it's possible to do this. But also I want to hear from you if you are a landlord and what difference this will make to you. Is this the final straw? Are you gonna just get out of the business now? But honestly, the way I look at this, I do think that there are some really decent landlords out there, some good people out there. But I've known some horrors, and my son has known some horrors, and the balance of power has been off. It's been completely off. It's supposed to be an equal relationship, and often it isn't. And tenants live in fear of their landlords, and they shouldn't. They shouldn't. They should be able to say, look, I'm sorry, this is subpar, this is substandard, I'm paying you this amount a month, and this is a problem, and you haven't fixed it, fix it. And it should be, you should then not be threatened with a Section 21 or threatened with a rent increase just because you've pulled your landlord up on their behaviour or on their lack of involvement in making sure that your property is safe and decent to live in. Landlords will also, from now on, have to sign into an organisation, and tenants will be able to see that, I suppose, judging landlords to see if they're any good at what they do. So there's quite a few changes in this that seem, I believe, to be a positive move forward. But I am not a landlord. I do not own property that I rent out. So you're going to have to tell me, as a landlord, what does this do for you? And I also want to hear some sort of nightmare stories to back that up. So please pick up the phone. This is your hour. 0344 499 1000. It literally doesn't exist without you. What do I do? Sit here for an hour? I don't know. You can text as well, 87222, put the word talk up front, and it comes through to me here in the studio. To the phones, and Carol is in Manchester. Hello, Carol, how are you?
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, I've missed you.
I've missed you very, very much. So, yeah, I've missed you. But I had to ring up on this because to me, right, it's like a boxing match. I've seen this over the last, few decades. And the last 5 years has been really bad. And I'm totally with you regarding about landlords, how they've been putting up the rents. You know, like I know a few landlords that are coming out of, and they're really good people, and they're coming out of it because there's horror stories on their side. And then I definitely know, because where I live, there is several houses where I live which are on rented accommodation, and the last 3 years, the way these rents have gone up is an absolute disgrace.
It's horrendous.
It's horrendous. It really is. And you do need to have something on a cap on that. And regarding about, quite lucky. I've not really got into anything where a house is literally disgraceful and that, but I have had a daughter who, at the time when she was renting, she's bought her own now. Me and her dad was saying, like this and that, where it was absolutely disgraceful in the winter. Like the clothing was mouldy and everything. It was disgusting, absolutely disgusting, and that. So there is areas within
and tenants
that.
Are scared, right? They feel like they shouldn't bother the landlord, or they shouldn't. Yeah, I don't want to get into trouble, or I don't want him to put the rent up, or I don't want him to chuck me out.
And the reason why is such a shortage of housing. You've got landlords landlords, right, are taking that on board, and it's an absolute disgrace. But we have got good landlords as well that are still there, like with it. And it goes the other way as well, where they've not paid the rent. It's took thousands of pounds, right, to get them out. It's just shocking. And I really do think what's happened now, it's like a seesaw. It's not balanced. It's going from one side to the other side, and it is good for what's been going over the last few years, but also unfortunate. It will, which it has, because I know that anyway. Funny enough, we were just talking about it this weekend with a person who I know who's been renting accommodation, and the landlord. Is at the end of the day is pulling out regarding with it. He's pulled out anyways regarding with it because of all this, and they had no problems. There were no problems or anything. He's just absolutely scared to death. And at the end of the day, we've got to think they're not council property. They're not council property. These are houses that are owned by people, right? And the thing is, we've got to make sure that when they do, like you said, as a customer, they've got to behave in a right way. But at the end of the day, it's their property. So you've got to make sure it doesn't overbalance. And regarding the south and the north is a completely different thing, like with rents and stuff like that. I do think that the councils should have more responsibility. Like you have a responsibility for your cars on the road, you have a responsibility for that. And I do think if somebody wants to rent a property, then they should have rules with it, and it should be within that area where we live and that, and what goes on within the area, what the prices are, whatever it be. But unfortunately, politically, they're just too lazy. That's all there is. They're just too lazy to do something that's so important. And I really do think, and I might be wrong here, but I have been thinking about it, is this a political kind of thing that's been thrown in there? And do they really care about the renters and the landlords or whatever? Because to me, it's just a boxing match again.
Well, I mean, Carol, I would imagine that a Labour government would side with the renter rather than the owner. Yeah. Politically speaking, I would say that would be the case. And yeah, you're right. I mean, if we push too many landlords out of the business, then it's just going to force the rents up for the properties that are left. Yeah.
And the house prices up, because what will happen with the people that own the houses, they want to get rid of them. Yeah. They just want to get rid of them. And then what do they do with them then? What they'll do? And I know also, like off the books, that there is people that are renting houses out, like without a tenancy because of different things or whatever. So all you're going to do is put it underground. That's all you're going to do is put it underground.
There's so much legislation around renting. A friend of mine has just rented out her place.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my goodness me.
It's shocking, isn't it?
Yeah, and she had to pay the council some new fee. Yep. For some reason. I can't remember what that was for. And then there's all sorts of requirements. It's really, really difficult. And then you're not allowed to, she's not profiting at all from the rental either. It's just it's just washing its own face.
I don't get, unless there's a reason for it regarding a pet and that. It made me laugh when you said about a horse. Within a horse. I agree with that. But for a cat and a dog, I'm not being funny. I've got my beautiful grandchildren. I absolutely adore them. My God, when I went up to the bedroom today when I had them, because they have a bedroom that, like my daughter had, which is theirs now. And I'm thinking, oh my God, with it. You can get little children
that are more destructive than a cat or a dog. Yeah.
With it. So some of these rules really do need to look upon, because again, it is an home. It definitely is an home, but unfortunate when it's a rented accommodation, it's not yours. And unfortunate, it's not, unless that person who's renting it to you is really over the moon on whatever. I mean, I can't see where you've got 6 month, 12 month. Why can't you have a 5 year with certain laws within it, or a 10 year, you know, like depending on what that landlord
Yeah, because
wants.
people want to feel safe and secure in their home, right? And that's not unreasonable.
No.
You don't want to move every 2 years. For a start, you can't afford to. I was saying to Ed that, you know, every time that my son moves, which I'm hoping won't be too often, it costs me about $5,000.
Oh, it's absolutely
because
unbelievable.
I help him with the deposit because he can't. He's working so hard, but he can't get a deposit together. And you don't get your deposit back in time to put it down for the next flat.
Exactly.
If you get it all back in,
young people now. Unfortunate, it don't matter if you're in the north, the south. You know, like it don't matter if you're on the moon. At the end of the day, they cannot afford a house. They cannot afford that.
And he can't afford, even every 2 years, another $5,000. He can't save that money.
Yeah.
So
it should be. If we can have that rented accommodation out, I do think, I mean, I think it's ridiculous. Unless you choose to have it and that landlord wants it, I do agree with you, because it is your home. But again, like, I have spoken to landlords and they said, well, it's my property. And there is other cases, you know, like one of them had an heart attack, you know, like, and that, and, you know, like, and there was a difficult type of thing. You know,
but they've got to see it as a business.
It's only, you know, like, they're just trying to make a little bit of money, a little bit. They're not big people.
Yeah, no, they're one or two properties. I know, I understand that, and the big landlords are the worst. But you know, I just think that it's got to be more even.
There needs to be more thought in it.
Yeah,
there needs to be more thought in it.
Yeah,
that's
definitely
all I can
does.
say.
Carol, delightful to talk to you. Thank you. Really sweet to talk to you. Thank you so much. Carol there in Manchester. Well, listen, if you are falling behind in your rent, I have possibly a solution for you. Do you want the chance to win £100,000? That would help, wouldn't it? And listen up, it's our biggest cash prize yet, and we're going all out. It's a massive £100,000, completely tax-free. And it could be yours if you're the lucky winner who gets picked to come to London on the 13th of November 2025 this year. So, for a chance to win, listen up.
18 plus UK excluding Northern Ireland. For a chance to win, text the word money to 83338 and you're in the draw. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. You must have the bill payer's permission, or you can enter for free by calling 0330 880 3338. All entries must be received by the 6th of November at 4 p.m. This is a TalkSport Limited promotion run on TalkSport, Talk and Virgin Radio UK stations. Full terms and conditions at talksport.com. across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, good morning to you. This is Talk and it's Petrie here with you, and we're talking about the new Renters' Rights Bill, which is now law. It was passed into law yesterday, and it's the first real change in renters' rights for 30 years. And I think a lot of these things really had to change. But I am obviously concerned that it might be a step too far for landlords, particularly landlords who have got maybe one property or two properties. They're just there to top up their pensions. I'm not a landlord. I've never been a landlord, so I don't really understand it. So if you'd like to give me a call, I'd love to hear from you as to what problems you can foresee with this, and maybe problems that you've been through before in trying to evict a tenant that was terrible, or you needed your property back because you needed to live there yourself, or whatever the situation may have been for you, or indeed that they had a pet, because now there would only be a reasonable reason for a landlord to deny tenants to have pets. So maybe you've got a horror story there as well that you can tell me about, and why you wouldn't allow pets into your property, and now of course you're going to have to. Also about rent increases, because from now on, if your tenants don't agree with the increase, if they feel it's too punitive or it's too high, they can go to the council, to a tribunal, and it's a type of civil court, to say, I think this is unreasonable. And then a court will decide if a landlord can increase your rent by as much as they might want to. So quite a lot of changes in this, and because it is the Renters' Rights Bill, a lot of it benefits renters. But if that sees off good landlords, then that's going to create more problems really than it solves. So have they got this balance right? Give me a call, 0344 499 1000. I got this lovely message from Kaz here. Hello, Kaz. She says, I had a letter from my housing association a few weeks ago. It didn't make much sense, but now it does. Thank you. You're very welcome. I don't even read letters. I just scan and go, oh, I don't know, I don't want to look at it. So I'm really glad we were able to explain it for you, Kaz. And it's good news as a renter. On the whole, it is really good news for you. So I'm pleased about that. Mandy is in Cambridgeshire. Good morning, Mandy.
Hi, Petrie. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm wonderful. We're wonderful. My little Reggie is right beside me, smiling his face off. So, yes, we're fine.
Oh,
Thank
good.
you.
I'm very, very pleased to hear that. Mandy, tell me, on the whole, just listening to what I've been saying, this does seem to balance things up a bit, doesn't it?
So, basically, until 5 years ago, I owned my own house. Due to circumstances, I had to rent. We rented through an agency, and we was there for a year and a half, and they wanted to put the rent up from 575 to about 750 a month.
What? That's a lot.
Yes, exactly. My landlord said no. So it went up to 675. I then found this place. Unfortunately, we didn't get it. Signed into a year's the agency, and because this then came vacant 2 months later, I then ended up losing the whole deposit. They charged me for having the place empty for 2 weeks before they checked it for cobwebs being there. You couldn't make it up. It was a joke.
Yeah, a similar thing happened to my boy, actually.
Yeah. So my son was in a lovely house, 3-bedroom house. His landlord or landlady actually paid him to move out so she could put it into HMO. And now it's a 4-bedroom property. And he's now paying almost, I think it's £1,200-1,300. He moved down, like where your son is near London.
Yeah.
1,600 quid a month rent. Yeah. The whole and £2,000 a year council tax.
Yes, that's the other thing that's another, 170 quid a month or 150 quid a month.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an absolute joke, but we're lovely here. My landlord's amazing. Peter and Jennifer are amazing. Anything I need, they just do. And I'm not with an agency. I've not got a contract. I'm on a rolling contract, which when I was with the agency, I didn't realise that you couldn't get somebody come round every month or week to look at the property just in case you was moving out. It's shocking. I mean, I'm 56 years old.
You just want to live in peace, right?
Of course you do. And to be honest, and this is what I said to Peter, I'd love a 10-year contract. Just give me a 10-year. I mean, take you back to Maggie Thatcher. I'm sorry to say this. She sold the houses, but she should have built them. Do you know what I mean? Honestly.
Well, the councils had the responsibility for that.
Oh, they did. They did. And unfortunately, we won't go round to Labour, however.
No. But still, I mean, still the councils are selling properties and not replacing them. I mean, it's disgusting. And this has caused the entire...
I've been on the council list for 2 years now. And I'm on a band D, which basically says anytime I go for a property, I'm over 20, there's 20 people or 100 people above me for going for a property. How ridiculous is that?
It's actually disgraceful, and this Labour government should have rectified that. When they're talking about affordable housing, they're talking about houses that are 80% of market value. That's still not affordable.
My son is a roofer and he can't get a job. So they're not building houses because if you build a house, you need a roof on.
Yeah.
What they do is they half build a house, they leave it empty. It probably gets burnt down or washed away down the river or whatever, and it's all. I'll go beep beep, so you won't beat me out. But yeah, beep, beep.
I think the housing situation in this country is disgusting, and it has created this sort of wild west of renting, and it is obscene the amount of money that young people are paying for rent to not be in particularly good properties in not particularly good areas.
No, exactly, and that's the thing. I mean, when you talk about your wages, if you look at how much of your wages actually go on renting a property,
it's over 50% in London, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if I had a mortgage, or if I still had my house, my mortgage would have still been £550.
Yeah.
And at the end of the time, I've owned that house.
Yeah, exactly. You're not burning that money at the end of it every month. Yeah.
So, and I think the problem is now, there isn't that opportunity there for people.
No, I mean, honestly, my son and his girlfriend, I can't bear how expensive their life is. And bless them, they're doing the very best they can. They work all hours, both of them, to be able to afford their rent. I help them out occasionally with bits and pieces, and I'll buy them treats and stuff. But it's so impossible. And they can't save.
I gave my credit card to my son to go on holiday with his girlfriend at the beginning of the year because, do you know what I mean? Like you say, you just have to help, don't you?
Yeah, otherwise they're just working. There's no joy.
No. And if you can just spread a little bit of joy, then, yeah, it's a nightmare. And, yeah, the fact that you can't even... I mean, you're looking at sometimes on America where you've got cardboard houses or houses built of like wood. Do you know what I mean? You're almost going to get there here if you're not careful.
Yeah, I think that it's so desperate now. I don't think it's been worse, but nobody's paying that much attention to it. There's far too much money in the building industry. They know how to make money. They know how to land bank. They know how to sit on things.
We could always put them in hotels, I suppose, couldn't we? And
well, they'll be empty soon, according to Labour. So there'll be lots of hotel rooms.
Sorry, Petra, I didn't mean to go political.
No, but I was going to say, if we believe that for just a second, that'd be amazing.
I don't believe it either.
Well, at least you're allowed to have a pet where you are.
Yes, and Reggie is snoring beside me, like I say, and he's having a lovely, my little three-legged Frenchie.
Oh, bless him. Bless him. Send me a picture.
I will do, sweet.
Send me a picture. I love seeing other people's dogs. It makes me happy. Other people's pets, actually. Listen, Mandy, you look after yourself. Give Reggie a kiss for me.
I will do.
And I'll speak to you soon. Sean has said, I lived in a rented flat paying £600 a month from November to January. I had no gas supply, hot water or heating. The landlord did nothing. I was left unable to wash and heat my property. It turned out that my landlord was tapping into an illegal gas supply. That's good, isn't it? Yeah. Is this fair to landlords as well? Or is this going to drive you as a landlord out of the business? Give me a call.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello, good morning. This is Talk, and it's Petrie here with you, and this is your chance to talk back. It's a full hour of phone-in just for you. So we get to hear your voices. And also I can speak for you if you send a text. And Gary has done so. Gary, thank you very much indeed for my poem, by the way. I have taken it home with me, so thank you. Gary says, I'm one of the lucky ones who has a fantastic landlord. Any problems, and he either resolves it that day or within 24 hours. He's a handyman and he redecorates a different room each year for me without any cost to myself. Also, he has never increased my rent in the 10 years I've been here. Like I said, I'm very lucky. My goodness me, Gary, you are. But then you are a lovely person. So it's nice to hear that good things happen to good people. So, Gary, you are lucky. Joanna from Salisbury says, I became an accidental landlord some 10 years ago, chosen by an agency. The tenant was in for 6 months, no animals. She had a puppy and a cat, that did £5,000 worth of damage. So obviously she was told she couldn't have them, but she did. The equivalent of now 10,000. How does a puppy and a cat do the equivalent to £10,000 worth of damage? Not covered by insurance because she broke the tenancy agreement. I'm glad I'm out of it now because I couldn't remove them under the new law. I also had to fight to get £860 out of the deposit for professional cleaners. Yeah, I guess I just can't imagine how a pet can cause that much damage. And I'm saying that as having the naughtiest puppy in the world. And I don't even think he's caused that. Mind you, the rug will never be the same again. Yeah, that's gone. Or it will have to go eventually. Let's go back to the phones. And Glenn is in Southampton. And Glenn is a landlord. Hello, Glenn.
Hello, Petrie. You all right?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Not so good being a landlord, though, after today, but never mind.
Yeah, I'm so glad you rang because, you know, this is called the Renters' Rights Bill, so it is going to be about renters. But has this really done for you?
The rents went up a couple of years ago. When you get a buy-to-let property, a buy-to-let mortgage, it's nothing like a domestic mortgage.
Right.
So basically what happens is if you own your own house, all right, and you fall in arrears, this, that and the other, the banks will work with you a couple of months, 2 months, 3 months, it can go up to whatever. All right, so, you know, what was it, 1991, no, I bought my first place in 1987. In 1991, the interest rates were nearly 16%. All right, people forget about that.
Yeah, no,
right?
I remember
so,
that.
When you've got buy-to-let mortgages, these banks will only give you 3 months. So today, the law was changed, so it works for the renters. So if they fall in arrears for 3 months, no fault of their own, right, behind the scenes, then the landlord, if they can't afford it, repossession starts, all right? It will be repossessed before it goes to court, which is a 10-month or a 12-month backlog, okay? So that's it. So they've lost the house anyway, all right? So that doesn't work for the landlord. The reason that the rents went up in the last couple of years, if you had a buy-to-let mortgage and you had a mortgage on it, which 90% of the country had them on interest only, all right? They want the capital gains on it. If you've got a mortgage of £800 a month and you're charging £1,200 a month, you could offset the mortgage. You can't do that anymore. You get taxed on whatever the rent is, okay? Where they've all been whinging, it's not fair, we've got dodgy landlords. I'm not saying that. I'm a good landlord. I've been a landlord for 25 years, right? Sir Keir Starmer called landlords lazy, all right? I wasn't lazy when I was running a business, okay, and my family used to go abroad and go on holidays. I'd work 7 days a week, buying the property, doing it up myself, all right? And just going back to when you say about dogs and pets and this, that and the other, where it's now come into legislation that you've got to get insurance for that reason, I had somebody that was in my house and they had 9 dogs. Okay?
Oh, yeah, that's a lot.
Right, okay, right. If the landlords don't take the insurance out and the house is damaged, all right, they're just going to turn around and say, well, I never done it. The pet done it, okay? So it's like that. One of my tenants moved a little dog in. He chewed the doors off, the door frame, because they left them there for 9 hours a day. But, you know, another thing, right, I've been renting for nearly 25, 26 years, right? Some people that have rented accommodation don't deserve their own house, you know, because they've got no idea, right, even how to change a light bulb. So, and it's not that hard at the moment for young people. Your son, you said, pays £2,000 a month, is that right?
Yeah.
£2,000 a month. Like, if he went to the mainstream banks, the Halifax, the Lloyds on the high street, they'll say no, all right? Go to a financial advisor on £2,000 a month, he's got a good job, right? He doesn't need a massive deposit. You've got to do your own work, right? At the moment, the country is wanting to chuck mortgages left, right and centre, okay? In the buy-to-let business, you're not covered like a domestic mortgage. You fall 3 months in arrears, right? You've got people like the Nationwide and the Lloyds, okay? The biggest private landlord at the moment in this country is Lloyds Bank, all right? because of the repossessions. All right, 20 years from now, okay, Lloyd's Nationwide, you've got these big insurance companies, AXA and the other one, and BlackRock from America are buying up housing estates. You wait till they're landlords, all right, and you're moaning now. People, my landlord don't do this. You wait in 20 years' time when these multinational companies own Britain, because that's what they want. They want to buy everything. Right?
Yeah, I don't disagree with you on that, and I do think it'll be an absolute. They're doing it in America as well. They're buying up whole streets and then renting them back to the people who lost their houses in this.
What's going to happen next month? Right, it's definitely going to come through national insurance. Right, and when Sir Keir Starmer said that landlords are lazy, ain't he a privileged man to say that? Yeah, lazy.
Yeah, but he doesn't know what he's talking about, does he?
We weren't handed these properties, by the way, like to me, that's worth millions of pounds, right? Okay? That's it. Right? I've got a lot of places that are next to nothing on mortgage. If I sold them tomorrow, right, I would pay, well, I don't know what I tell you, what I pay in income tax, right?
Or capital gains.
Capital gains, it would be millions, all right? The only way to do it is to refinance and then get rid of them. All right, but the national insurance is going to come in. It's just going to put the rents up. Okay. How
is that going to work? Are they going to charge like it's a job?
It'd be 9%, right? It'd be 9%, and then landlords, private landlords, are going to have to put their rent up 12% on top of it, right? And people say, "Oh, that's not fair." You've got accountants' bills, you've got paperwork, you've got time, you've got this and this, that and the other. Do these people that ring you, have they got any idea how much it is to refurb a house? And I've got a building company. I'll tell you, right, the last one, which I've got a modern house, it's just cost £22,000, all right? £22,000. And he walked away owing me money, okay? That's it, all right? I'm telling you now, it ain't always the landlord's fault, right?
No, I know that, which is why I asked for your voice on this. But to be fair, you know, landlords have had it. It seems.
Not now, they're not.
Not now, they're not. But they have had it all their own way.
That's it. Put it this way, right? I bought a house years ago, which I was legally allowed to say was my second house, right? I could have owned it in Spain, I could have anywhere, my second house. I put it on a domestic mortgage, all right? Okay, I didn't put it on a buy-to-let, all right? 3 years ago, Richie Sunak went, anybody that's got a second house, if they sell it, going to get taxed. I sold it to my son. I gifted him $200,000, and I got in trouble with the income tax over it. I don't know what more they want from us, right? They just want to steal it, all right? And it's the banks. It's the banks, the ones that have funded it, want it. And it's different rules when you've got a buy-to-let mortgage, it's a commercial mortgage. You're not covered the same way. 3 months in arrears, right? 3 months in arrears, and they start proceedings, right? And within a week, they can instruct someone who can come there and change the locks. Never mind matey up the road that ain't paid for 3 months, and you're taking the court in 8 months. That's it. What they do, they take control of the house, right? They send you a letter, they take control, and they say, now your tenant has to pay us. And if they don't pay us, we will take it when we sell your house. And it don't go to auction, they keep it for another year, let it go for next to nothing, and the bank that owned it take it, and it's on their portfolio. You're all blindsided. You've got no idea what's going on, right? And then people that are moaning about the rent, if they own their own flat, and when their roof
hang on a minute, Glenn. They've got the right to moan about rent because it is extremely high.
I'm not a bad landlord.
No, right? but they do have, people do have a right to moan about paying £2,000 a month for a one-bedroom flat in a rough old area of London. Right?
And the landlord turns up with a Ferrari and don't do nothing. That ain't me. They should have done it different. They should have done good landlords and bad landlords. All right? They're punishing the good landlords because of the bad ones, and it ain't fair. All right?
But how do you distinguish between the two?
I feel sorry for a lot of people who's only got 1 or 2 properties and thought it was going to be a pension, because I'll tell you what, it's not. Not now, it's a debt. A massive, massive problem.
Can you foresee a lot of people with smaller property portfolios leaving?
Thousands and thousands in the next 2 to 3 months will leave the market. All right, that's it. That's it. Right. And as soon as these big companies own these flats, which will happen, you wait. You try to get an older laws bank. You've got no idea how many thousands and thousands of properties they own, and they've got them because they've repossessed them. That's it.
But because this rule has changed now, that it's 2 months to 3 months of arrears, can you not get insurance that covers if it's 8 months that they're not paying?
Yeah, of course you can. 15%, sometimes 20% of the rental income. 20%, and then you can't do no tax allowances for your mortgage. What's the point? All right?
So you don't get that as a tax allowance?
No, you don't get nothing. No, we've always broke, Mr. R. What's going to happen, any wise landlords that are listening to me tonight, right, honestly, they go with the council and they go for supported living, right, because there's so many disabled people in Britain, right, that haven't got their own house. As soon as a charity takes it, or a housing association, they take over the property, you get more rent, you don't even need insurance. If the boiler breaks down, they cover it. You can even put in for the adaptions. That's what's going to happen, right?
So that people will hand their properties to councils?
Yeah.
Okay.
They walk away from it. They don't even have to pay insurance. If the roof caves in, it's down to the councils. That's it.
But they still get the rent?
They get a higher rent. They ain't got the risk. They don't have the phone calls. Oh, your boiler's broke down. That's it. We're in the council. That's all that. That's it. HMOs are going to come up left, right and centre.
Yeah, that's what I fear as well, is the expansion.
Living. Also, emergency accommodation, I'll sort all that out as well, through the council. That's guaranteed, whether it's empty or not, right? But people's got to be really careful what they wish for, because I'm telling you, it ain't going to be good for people. That's it. And young people that can afford that can definitely get a mortgage. Listen to me, Petrie. The high street, no chance. You go to a financial advisor and you will get it. Trust me.
Okay, well, I'll put that to him, because it breaks my heart.
Let's put it this way. Before you cut me off, a friend of mine rang me. All right, his daughter and her husband, they've been together, they've been working for 6 years, had £30,000 deposit, right? Every high street bank turned them down, right? I went, phone this man. He phoned me back 24 hours later. He went, you know what, Glenn? He went, they've kept 25 grand their deposit. They got a lower rate and had their mortgage agreed in 7 days.
Wow. And you can get them over 40 years now as well, can't you?
The only reason they were turned down on the high street, because he once didn't pay a parking fine and it come up as a CCJ. All right? That's it.
Well, Glenn, thank you for the advice. I'll definitely look into that, actually, because it's just heartbreaking that they're just flushing that money down the proverbial. Glenn, great to talk to you. Fantastic call. There you go. You get it from both sides on this programme. But I've got to take a break, and I'll be back in a sec.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, and a very good morning to you. This is Talk, and it's Petrie here with you for the next few minutes, just to the top of the hour. Just wanted to read this message out from Leslie, because we're talking about the Renters' Rights Bill, and really interesting call there from Glenn, pointing out what it's going to be like from the landlord side. But I was talking about the fact that landlords will now, unless they've got a reasonable reason, will have to allow renters to have pets. And I was saying I can't imagine that pets would cause that much damage. And Leslie said pets chew into cables, scratch paintwork, and rip up carpets, etc. It all will come out of the renter's deposit. So, but also landlords can ask for you to take out extra insurance if you do have a pet. Now, because I didn't get through many of the papers with Ed Wiseman, I just thought I'd spend the last few minutes going through what's left of them, quite a few actually. So the Daily Telegraph: wind power is not as reliable as we thought, said Mr. Miliband. The government has slashed forecasts for the amount of electricity it expects wind farms to generate in a blow to Ed Miliband's net zero plans. Don't they have to switch off the windmills if it's too windy? I think I read that somewhere. In documents published before an auction of green energy subsidies this week, officials said they were revising down the predicted efficiency of wind turbines by more than a quarter. As a result of updated modelling. Experts said the change would mean the Energy Secretary would have to pay higher subsidies to wind farms to secure the same amount of energy, making it harder to hit Labour's clean power targets. The bogus numbers were also attacked by the Conservatives, who've called on Mr Miliband to scrap the latest subsidy auction, which they argued risked putting up consumer bills. Whichever way we know it's going to go, it's going to be up, isn't it? I think we've cottoned on to that by now. We do know that. And this story, just a little nib at the bottom, news in brief. It says, Brigitte Macron's daughter has told a Paris court, remember this is a court, that her mother is not a man, and that the online trolls who insist that she is have made her life unbearable. What is wrong with people? I mean, she isn't a man, quite evidently has never been a man, but even if she was, so what? Honestly, get on with your own lives. What is wrong with you? The daughter, who is Tiffany Ozier, I don't know if I said that correctly, probably roughly around that area, 41 years old, said that cyberbullies had caused a change and a deterioration in her mother. France's First Lady, as she testified in the second and final day of the trial of 8 men and 2 women aged 41 to 65, they're accused of spreading numerous malicious comments online about Mrs Macron's gender. And I believe that she subjected herself to quite a personal inspection to have to prove that she's not a man. What? I wish I could swear. I genuinely do, because this sort of thing really, really gets my back up. Leave the woman alone. And like I said, even if she was, who cares? Honestly, it's not bullying people, it's pathetic. Losers. Anyway, the Eye, storm of the century, 185 miles per hour, a hurricane, bigger than Katrina. Extraordinary photographs as well. I'm not sure I quite understand this headline. I've read it a few times. Lettuce, what lettuce? Liz Truss says she didn't read papers when she was outlasted by a lettuce. She was too good as PM and we invented America. Oh, and only rude lefties disagree. I don't think there's enough information. That's the Daily Star. I don't know what any of that actually means. No clue. And also it's covering Jamaica horror and has a photograph of the princess, are they princesses? Eugenie and Beatrice, with the title Ditch Titles. So they could lose their titles. Daily Express, OAPs must be given a fair deal in the budget. Sue Cook has urged Rachel Reeves to deliver a fair deal budget for OAPs, protecting the pension triple lock and ruling out a tax raid on the most vulnerable. Good luck with that, Sue Cook, because I think that the Chancellor is going to come after wealthier pensioners. The Independent, Reeves must raise income tax to fill the new gap in the budget. Economists warn the Chancellor will cause unnecessary damage if she chooses smaller tax increases to balance the books. And that's what I've been saying, in scrabbling around in the back of the sofa and taxing people here and taxing people there. It is going to be a mess, and it is just going to be so unpopular with so many different groups of people. She's better off just being honest, because it's all going to cost us more anyway. Just be honest. These are all